To re-emphasize this same question, because Chamberlain said the other time, and I want to reiterate it, we have had several reports over the years, and we have had the same thing repeat itself over and over again. Police officers on the field, you know, not being able to address people the way they ought to be addressed, getting into people's cars, you know, even though it's against the Constitution, beating people, instilling punishments on people to get information from them, and that wasn't addressed. How does this bill frontally address that?
You see, I have police should not take the blame completely. Members of the public should also admit that they are failing in some of their civic responsibilities. You see, when you approach the police, for instance, you are driving on the road, your vehicles don't have particulars. They stop you on the road. Instead of bringing your particulars, you are bringing money and giving to them. I drive on the road most of the time. I am stopped. I don't need to even introduce myself because my particulars are complete. So the members of the public should also help the police by discharging their civic responsibility, cooperating with the police, even though I agree that some of them, out of sheer this, like the bill tends to address, some of them get intoxicated while on duty. They drink, they smoke. So at times they act out of impulse or certain. So the members of public should also be ready to study the demeanor of the people that drink with. Somebody, at times, I've seen one police officer come close to me to talk to me. The ooze coming out from him, he was drunk. So you don't need to argue with such a person. You just need to comport yourself. Like I also saw one police officer talking about, you know, speaking Queen's English and Pidgin English. Look at them, study them. Some of them are intelligent, at least at the leadership level. The senior officers from the ASP rank, at least when you see and there's exchange of words, look for a more senior officer, like an inspector, and others, instead of arguing with them. Because it's been said that it's only a stupid man that argues with somebody with a gun. When you see somebody with a gun, study his demeanor. Stay alive first and see what you can do to get out of that trouble. But I believe that this reform will take charge of most of this indiscipline in the police.
You've got a question.
Yeah, I want to start with Mr. Ashimi, and then, of course, Mr. Joffa can also weigh in on it. On the floor of the Senate, Senator Benga Ashafa was quoted as saying that we have to look at what this bill stands for and address issues such as welfare and the environment in which the police operate. Talking about the logistic provision and all of that for them. How does this bill capture that, Mr. Ashimi, for the police?
Okay, the bill has a provision that looks at the police reward fund, and that actually looks at rewarding gallant officers for exemplary services, and also those who are dead, and maybe those who died, their families, and giving them some support and the rest. And they also know the police trust fund bill as well has been passed, and that also looks around issues of welfare and everything of the police. But in addition to that, we understand funding has been a challenge for the police. And of course, you see officers protesting at different, at some point we had reports of officers protesting non-payment of salaries. I mean, that's actually very, very bad, because you don't give a man a gun and he's hungry, you've not paid him and he has a gun. That's a recipe for what we don't pray for. So the reform bill has some provision for the reward fund, police reward fund, and also the police trust fund bill also looks at how to cater for the welfare of police officers. And if we can also add, I think one thing CISLAC has been pushing for is to a review of the security votes and the service-wide votes. These are huge amounts of money. We released the report, we launched the report last year, and this looked at an estimated about 241 billion naira is being spent annually on police, service-wide votes, security votes. If we can channel some of these funds to the police to increase the budget and see how to scrap it, because you're giving, some of these amounts are given to states, and we understand some governors will tell you or we've seen reports of governors saying they are not in charge of security, or they are not the head of security because of the whole structure and everything. we could actually see how to divert some of these funds to the police and also help improve the welfare of the police. It's very important that the welfare of the police is actually looked into.
Mr. Ejiofor, please speak to how this new proposition addresses the operative environment of the police officer on the field in the hinterlands and the urban cities all over Nigeria. How does it address it?
Yeah, I'll start by using the Lagos example. You know, the Lagos state government introduced this police trust fund, which had earlier been passed before the police reform bill. So this will take care, there are certain percentages, which I'm not very sure of now, that will be contributed by corporate organizations, and this will help in at least acquiring the basic amenities for the police. This will also take care of their welfare, because any officer that is not motivated is an enemy to society. They need to get training, they need to be more equipped without sounding like a broken record. Everybody is saying it. Police is underfunded, police is understaffed, police is, well, just name it. And it's not only the police. What we're saying is that every sector of the economy, because of shortage and lack of funds, is underfunded. But we should prioritize our security, because without security, there won't be any meaningful development. The greatest challenge we're having actually is the issue of security. And once that is done, then people will go about their normal businesses. So I think that that police trust fund will take adequate care of this. Like he said, I remember that we have what we call police reward fund. What percentages are going into all this? When you perform certain duties, certain percentages go into the police reward fund. What is happening to it? I read with dismay the other day, people saying, whether they are back with facts or not, that over 100 billion are collected through extortion of money in the Southeast. Besides that, I know that corporate organizations also pay money to police for their services. What is happening for this, to this money? So I think the police leadership should also look into this, without saying that we are all aware that police is underfunded, but they should be able to manage the little they have. And I think with this, the new police leadership, you don't tend to see more attack from our senator friend in the Senate, who incidentally was a retired police officer. Also, I think the police trust fund will go a long way in tackling some of the police challenges.
You know, Mr. Ejiofor, last year, July, the National Assembly had declared the security architecture as having failed. And then they tried to initiate moves or proposals to have state police. I think you had states like Kwara, Abia, Osun, Ondo, Ogun states backing that initiative for the establishment of state police, among several other states. But then you also remember that when they had that, I think some called it alteration or amendment of the Constitution, which was eventually shut down. So they had the opportunity to actually do something about that, but then they chose to come up with a bill. Do you think that states who, for instance, fund the police or donate several things to police, will they be happy with this bill? Or will they be better off if the National Assembly had actually gone round the states by way of that alteration to ask them what exactly do they want in terms of owning recommendations to improve or reform the police, whichever adjective you use, as opposed to coming up with a bill which may not even be assented to?
No, you see, the issue is that coming up with this bill is a healthy development. I like it, I commend it. You recall that last year, the vice president at one of the seminars there also supported the call for state police, because some of the governors feel that they are not in charge. They tell you they are not chief security officer of the state, that does there by name, and you see them contributing to the security agencies. But if we are practicing true federalism, the police needs to be decentralized. Not only decentralized, we need to create state police. But the argument people put up is that it will be abused. Is there anything that is not abused? And that's why there's law. If there's an abuse, the law is there to take charge of it. I believe that when you have the state police, not all states can even afford to establish state police, but states that can afford it will establish their own state police because, one, it will help in intelligence gathering by localizing the police, and the people in the area will have confidence that this is our own and volunteer information. A situation where you bring people from different areas, from Sokoto to Bayelsa to Maiduguri, one, they don't have that confidence to relate. They have language, social and cultural differences, and which will take time. And so I believe that we need to restructure the police, create station of police, state police, that cannot be done without amendment of the Constitution. So I believe that with this reform, it's going to go a long way in addressing some of the issues, but we'll still go ahead and urge the National Assembly to look at the issue of the state police.
Well, Samuel, let me bring you in. If you look down, not just a long time, I mean recent history, where even the governments that had the reforms or national conferences, it was always maybe towards the end, not at the beginning of their tenure. And there were those who thought that, look, the timing for this particular bill, because in less than 5 weeks, they wind down. So does CISLAC actually think that they gave enough time for the back and forth between the executive and legislature, given the recent history about the bills that have been assented to and the bills that have been rejected? Was that given proper consideration?
Thank you for this. This bill was, it was brought in last year. Sometime around the middle of last year, it went through second reading. And sometime towards the ending of last year, we had public hearing, and of course, it was passed. If you look at it, I think the situations around should actually warrant how we take these actions. Of late, in the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we've seen consecutive killings, extrajudicial killings of Nigerians. And this is very, very bad, and our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and the families of the victims and the survivor. And I think this actually should be what should be driving us, because when you have Nigerians killed, it calls for action. And these actions should be taken from a whole policy level. And that's what has brought about this bill. So the timing, to me, I think it's fine. It's still in place and appropriate, because people are dying. We shouldn't just say, okay, our thoughts and prayers. We should just send condolences. No, we should make policy moves, whole moves that would really, really change things. And I think that's what the bill seems to address. And I think that's what has happened. Because if you look, after the killing of Johnson and Kolade, you see that the Senate President tweeted that this will be looked into, the report will be brought forward and seen. It's for us as CISLAC, the situation around events actually warrants speedy action on this issue. Of course, we should be cautious. We should look into this in detail. The House, as the Senate has passed the police reform bill, if it gets to the House should also look into it in details and see how things work. But I think it's something everybody embraces. The executive we also feel the executive would actually assent to this, because it will show commitment on the side of the legislature and on the executive as well to the respect of human rights, and also the push towards people-oriented policing. It's something common. When Nigerians die, you see news week after week. We see deaths. We get images of extrajudicial killings. You see news of people being killed. You see events all around. This calls for action. It calls for us to make steps and other things. And I think that's what it's been done. And I don't want the citizens to relax. We shouldn't relax. I call on people, the media, we should increase the tempo and also put
in your engagement with the House of Reps, what kind of assurances were you given about when this will be eventually harmonized?
Well, we are in talks with them, with the Committee on Police Affairs, and as you are aware, it was passed last week, and we had the Easter break, so we are looking at having more engagement on this. And as a matter of fact, next tomorrow, Thursday, CISLAC, ROLAC, Clean Foundation, National Policing Program, PLAC, will be having a kind of sensitization program on the police reform bill. So we also aim to see how to, if we can of course, it's an in-house thing in the House of Assembly. The bill has come to them and everything, but we'll see how it could engage with them on this. So for a specific timeline, I'm afraid I won't have that. But then, if there's a commitment between the legislature to actually move forward on this, and as well from the executive to give us a people-oriented policing system that works for the people, and there's pressure from the masses, of course, from all this news and everything, of course, we should make headway. And
Samuel Ashimi and Mike Ejiofor, gentlemen, thank you both for coming on today.